All right, we are live. Welcome back to the James McGee Show, Two Finger Tuesday. I am your host. I am James McGee, and we've got one of our old friends, one of our OGs, Rich Krummen. So,
Hey, everybody.
Man, welcome. You know, Tom's supposed to join us, but Tom, man, I don't know about you, Rich, but I am. I liked irresponsible Tom better. I liked Tom when he didn't have responsibilities a lot better. Now he's a working man again on the railroad,
Yeah.
and fucking Joe's in fucking Hawaii. He's
Man,
sending us pictures from Hawaii. So
I think if you combine both Joe and Tom, that's like the perfect life right there. You're
yeah,
you're working on a railroad in Hawaii. Do they even have those on the island? It just go in circles.
Oh no. So let's talk about, of course, Two Finger Tuesday. What are you drinking?
Well, I was thinking about some ancient age, but as I went down to the bar, I saw this Woodford Reserve. And,
Woodford Reserve's good drink.
Yeah, this Woodford Reserve, and I just had a conversation with a good friend of mine, Bob Parker, and told him how we hadn't seen each other in a few weeks, and we need to get together and have a drink. So I told him I'd share this link with him. So Bob, here's to you, buddy.
Here's to you, Bob,
buddy.
So I'm drinking. I don't know if you've been on since I've talked about Bayou rum.
I've heard you talk about it. Yep.
Man. And I just kind of, it's a little sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like something a little sweet tonight. So I'm having Bayou rum. And of course, the glass
from DJ's USA.
DJ's McGee Show, engraved in USA. And
great people there.
Great people. We, we love them and we want you to give them your business. So what we wanted to dive into tonight, Rich, is, man, I know you've done a little research on this.
Mm-hmm.
Happened in Central Arkansas. A man by the name of Aaron Spencer, 36-year-old man. I'll just give a little brief on it, then we'll talk about where we stand on it. I think we both stand on the same place on it. So his daughter had been a couple months ago had been sexually assaulted by a 67-year-old man who was a friend of the family. Okay, that's normally how that happens. So he's a friend of the family, sexually assaults his daughter. He gets arrested, gets out on a $50,000 bond, and he is pending court. Now, I don't know if he abducted her, but it doesn't matter if she willingly went. She's fucking 14 years old. He had been grooming her, so the daughter goes missing. Well, he calls police, has a missing person, but he goes out and he does his own search. And by the grace of God, he finds them. The 67-year-old takes off with his daughter in the car. He gets in pursuit of them. He's able to get his daughter, get her to safety, and the confrontation between the two, obviously, occurs, and he kills the man who abducted. And I don't care if she went willingly, that's abduction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care, it's abduction. And so he kills him. Now, it's a little unclear if he has been formally, well, he was arrested. Now, listen to this. He's arrested and he's out on a $150,000 bond.
What are the judges doing there in Arkansas?
Well, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. He has a $150,000 bond, but this guy rapes his daughter and he has a $50,000 bond. He's on the fucking street and he gets to do it again.
Right.
I tell you where I stand. The man's dead. If it's my daughter, Rich, man's dead. Yeah. If it's your daughter, Rich, the man's dead. I will kill him for you. My friend, if you hurt my daughter, somebody I love, my friend, their daughter, you're dead. That's just the way it should be. And that sounds, it's vigilante. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. But let me tell you, you know this, and I definitely want your opinion, Rich.
Sure.
The system is pedophiles. It's not There's no rehabilitating pedophiles. The system does not work on pedophilia. It does not. And the only way to deal with a proven, now I'm saying proven, and this was a proven child rapist. The only way to deal with a proven child rapist is to fucking kill them. That's where I stand.
Well, and obviously, they say Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Was this gentleman rehabilitated? No. Did he learn his lesson? Was he corrected? No. He should have been put in jail, castrated, and never let out for this to ever to happen, number one. And when the father finds them again, this is exactly what should happen. Mm-hmm. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Whatever happened to public hangings, public executions? We've gotten away from this with over the centuries, but that's how these things.
Well, our new governor of Louisiana wants to bring that back.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of places that would love to have that brought back.
No, he's actively we've got a governor who's just a wild man, and and the thing about it, Rich, is where's the deterrent? Where's it when people that do this to kids, they're fucking cowards. You deal with a coward.
Yep.
You make them fucking see what the consequences are going to be.
But where's the consequence? Even with the judges giving them a $50,000 bond.
Yep.
That there's no deterrence right there. $50,000, and if you unless it's a straight $50,000, which you know just as well as I do that it's 9 times out of 10,000, or you can put up property and $50,000 nowadays. That could be a shack down, or your shed in your backyard that you're putting up for collateral on that for property. But it's so spacious and, out there, you call the sheriff or the local law enforcement out there in Arkansas, who knows? It may be an hour before they show up. And what are you going to do? There's no details that I saw on this case where, he was shooting him in self-defense because he pulled a knife on him, or, he felt his life or his daughter's life was in danger because the guy was taken off again with her and he didn't know if he was going to kill her this time, or there was a statement made, you'll never see your daughter again. And he felt like this time that the guy was going to kill his daughter. So he needed to protect him and his daughter. So he took the guy's life. There's all sorts of mitigating circumstances there. But if this was my daughter, this is like the scene out of that Ben Affleck movie. I need your help. I can't tell you where we're going or what we're doing, but I just need your help. Who's driving?
I'm glad. Yeah, let me tell you, we use that video a lot. I would send that to friends of mine because you don't have to say anything. There it is. And I'm actually have been known as that guy, and I'm proud to be known. I have friends of mine like, hey, they'll send me that video and say, hey, dude, that's you. You're right, because I'm not. If you call me right now, Rich, and look, we've never met in person, but I consider you a friend. If you called me right now and said, hey, man, I need you, I'm on a fucking plane because I know you well enough now to know if there's something wrong. There's something really bad. If you're calling me saying I need you, I'm fucking gone. And if somebody hurt your kid, they're gone. It's done. That's my motto for the business that I have. And I've been saying that for years. So that's why I chose the motto for my business.
Yeah.
It's done. Who fucking works, man? It's done.
I think that any of us, I think that it not only I think it's the nature of the business that we were in law enforcement. We surround ourselves with those people, and especially some, us that are veterans and in the military. I think that's even more so, but it's just, you keep that tight knit group, those bonds that that they're going to have your back, you're going to have theirs no matter what. And that bond doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be something where you're hanging out with somebody every single day, because we learn that we have to be able to read a person and be able to trust them in an instant, because I'm sure that you have agencies that would provide mutual aid that you don't know this guy that's going to have your back on a traffic stop, but you have to trust him that if the shit hits the fan, they're there to help you. And I know that I had that, and I may not know except for the name strip. And I mean, it takes me back, just saying name strip, it takes me back to seeing a press conference back in 2001 when Cincinnati police officer Kevin Crane was killed, that I saw someone saying that I think it was the mayor at the time saying, I never met this officer, but I saw his name strip. And I remember the name Cran because it was a unique name. And that's what you remember a lot of times. I may not know the face, I may not know the name, but you know the nameplate, or you know the name strip from an officer, and you know that they had your back, and you know that if the next time the shit hits the fan for you, they're going to be there, just like you are going to be there for them. In an instant like this, if I were to call you and say, hey, my daughter's down at the University of XYZ in Lexington, Kentucky, and something happened to her, I need your help.
It's done.
We're there. I know I got you coming from Louisiana. I know I got my buddy Dave and Virginia coming, along with a few other guys that are there. I know I got some guys from Boston and New York. I got my family from Florida coming from there. My family here in Ohio is going to come with me, and we're going to take care of business. And there may be questions, there may not be questions, but we're going to get things done.
You know, I'm not a far right guy. I'm a law and order guy, but I'm not one of those who thinks that I do believe in some sort of criminal justice reform. I do believe in these things. I believe in rehabilitation. I believe in all kinds of stuff like that, except when you're dealing with pedophilia. There is no rehabilitating. You know, I visited a friend of mine who's in rehab this weekend. He's got a problem, man. I'm very compassionate to addiction. I understand how strong addiction is. Pedophilia, there's only one way to deal with it, and that is a bullet between the eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that strong on anything. I'm not this guy with, tough talk and bravado. I'm not that. But when it comes to hurting kids, it comes to pedophilia, we have seen it before. You cannot rehabilitate them, and they have to fucking die. You should be able to put them down, just like you put a sick dog down. You know, when a pit bull attacks people, keeps attacking, what happens? You put them down.
Put them down. Yeah.
Put them down.
What happened to? I mean, it's insanity. What happened to our insane asylums? Where we used to put, around here we used to have the Lewis Center, where there's a few other insane asylums that people could put their family members in if they had mental health disorders, and they were too much of they were too much to handle for the family. They needed round the clock care, kind of like a nursing home. Or exactly like a nursing home, but it was straight for mental health disorders. It was a lockdown facility. They could, but we don't have those anymore. I don't know if you have them down there, but we don't have those anymore up here. I mean, just for people that need this constant, and find one for these pedophiles and put them there. Put males, females together. They aren't going to bother each other. I mean, they don't like each other. They like little boys and little girls, which is ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about this subject and everything, and I know that we're in Arkansas here, but it kind of hits home. I know you and I have talked about this over the summer, and it was all over the news here in nearby in Warren County. We also had a 14-year-old girl abducted. And it happened to be an acquaintance, a close friend of mine from Engraved. It was a friend of ours that we play golf with. It was his daughter was abducted by one of these predators and he was from North Carolina. And it made the news all over the place. And one of my first texts was, do you need anything? Where are we going? And then when they found her in North Carolina, do you need anything? When are we going? I'm glad she's all right. I mean, he had to drive down, and then they had meetings and interviews with the FBI over this. And I mean, hearing some of the stories, it almost felt like they were playing with him and his daughter as they were suspects. And I wish I could talk to him and have him on here. Maybe when everything's said and done. But
I'd love to have him. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense as why you're treating a 14-year-old girl and her family as suspects when this man in his 30s is the one that came from North Carolina to Ohio and abducted her. It's ridiculous. But then again, that's another story about how our FBI is all screwed up. So
yeah, I get on them. Quite often. So my wife works at the agency I retired from now, but she was a state probation officer, sex offender specialist for years, and her solution for the ones on probation, what and people don't, I wouldn't want this in my neighborhood, and you wouldn't want this in your neighborhood, but you almost have to have a sex. Her thinking is you almost have to have a sex offender village where they all fucking live by each other or with each other. Hey, look, they can all go fuck each other. I don't care what they do, but put them somewhere where they're not around our kids. Put them all together where they could be controlled and they could be watched. But the problem is you got them spread out so much, and we've got a great sex offender registry in our state, great sex offender laws, and the agency that I retired from has a really good program. But I think that she's right. You got to just put them together and let them, because there's no fixing them. There's nothing. They're going to be what they are. That's not something you can rehabilitate. Drugs. I was telling the guy that I went visited, good guy. I was telling him this weekend. I said, "Hey man, look, it sounds like it's this sounds simple and it's not." I told him, I said, all you have to do is one thing, your whole life changes. You have to overcome this addiction. That's a big feat. But if you think about it, Rich, that man overcomes this addiction. He's a good guy, talented, pain body guy, good guy. He overcomes his addiction. Like I told him, I said, it could be worse, man. You could just be a piece of shit, and you're not. You take the addiction away, this man's me and you, dude. But child predators, that's just there's no rehabs for that.
Well, and let me take it the other way. I worked with a gentleman, good dude, and if you watch my agency's cop videos when we are on the season premiere of Cops in 2004, Tased and Confused, he's on that episode. A few years later, he decided to get a second job in a business and be entrepreneurial. It took over his life in the restaurant business, so he quit our department, got into early mornings and late nights, started doing a little bit of drugs here and there. Next thing you know, the business went under. His drugs use went up. He started getting arrested, started getting felonies. Next thing you know, he's on a list for kidneys. And I see him going in and out of the VA every now and then for dialysis because he's that messed up now. And just, 20 some odd years ago, he was a police officer working right alongside me. And to be quite honest with you, like I mentioned earlier, to this day, I still would trust him to have my back in any situation. But he is a junkie. I hope that he gets clean one day.
Take the drugs away, he's back to being like me and you.
Exactly. Drugs and alcohol for the last 17, 18 years have ruined his life.
Okay, let's look at this. So, men who beat their wives. I think that's a pretty low form of a human also.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I'm not defending it, but there are circumstances that can I don't think people who do that are always going to be that. That can be, a lot of times that has to do with alcoholism, drug abuse. Also, you get a low point in your life. You don't, people get labeled with that, and they can, to me, change. Once again, pedophilia, that's a total different level. You cannot you can, I don't think grow out of is probably the right term as far as domestic abuse. You can overcome that. How about that? You can overcome being
I think that's a great term.
domestic abuser. You cannot overcome being a fucking pedophile. So to close this out before we move on to something else, my opinion, death, that's it. That's all you do, bullet between the eyes. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Completely agree with you.
And free Aaron Spencer. I'm not getting off of this. I'm gonna
100%.
I'm gonna may start a GoFundMe. I'm gonna look more into it because I want to make sure the guy's a good guy. I don't want to start really advocating for this guy, but man, all accounts he's a veteran, served in war. He's just a dad. He's just a dude. He's just an Arkansas working man who is a dad and did what most dads would do.
Yeah, I mean, I know a couple veteran dads that are from Arkansas that I guarantee that if they called one of us that I served with them, we would all be there.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of pedophiles, let's talk about Tim Walz. I have been telling you motherfuckers I was saying it kind of joking, but I really wasn't. I've been saying this for 2 months. Something's wrong with this man. I'm telling y'all, I've been saying it. Somebody needs to check this man's basement. Somebody needs to check this man's trunk. He's got kids in it. And I said it lighthearted, but I meant it. Did you hear about he's not 14 anymore, but the boy that came out on him?
No, I did not.
Oh yeah, no.
I've been working an awful lot lately.
Well, let me tell you, it's coming out. The guy's been on Twitter, and supposedly there's evidence. When he was taking kids to China and he lied about being a Tiananmen Square and all that.
Right.
Supposedly he was grooming them, and he was molesting teenagers.
Wow.
And this is
were they on his football team?
Well, I don't think anybody was on his football team because he really didn't have one.
Did he coach at Penn State?
Well, probably before it's over, he won a Super Bowl. But so I'm telling you, they didn't vet this guy. There is seriously something.
They didn't have time to do a good vetting process.
Yeah, it's true. Well, fuck yeah, they didn't even vet Kamala.
Well, yeah, true. And not to sound, that I'm supporting Kamala or anything, but I mean, in that short window of time, I mean, maybe they did and they asked, and maybe this was, maybe they asked 49 other governors and 50 senators and congressmen, but I mean, maybe he was the bottom of the list, but I mean, and everybody else said no. But I mean, hell, there's got to be somebody better than him to run with her. I mean,
well, Shapiro, they didn't go with Shapiro because he's Jewish,
right? Yeah,
and Shapiro, let me tell you, he would have scared me a little bit because he's because Pennsylvania is a swing state.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you go to
Minnesota?
Minnesota, they're not even up for grabs. It made no political. Nothing they do makes any political sense.
The only reason I go to Minnesota is to see my buddy Mark Ritter. I mean, and go motorcycle riding up through there. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, I drive through it on the way to Sturgis.
Well, I hope I never have to drive through it. Now, I heard it was a pretty city. I heard that Minneapolis was a pretty city.
I flew over it or into it one time, stayed in the airport, and that's the closest I've been to Minneapolis, St. Paul. I did have an instructor one time that was from St. Paul Police Department. Mm-hmm. He was an instructor at the Concerns of Police Survivors. One of their trainings, that was an amazing training, by the way. But their training that they put on, he was a really good instructor. Talked about coping with suicide and everything like that, and other things with the job. But anyways, I mean, they're just, I mean, and I'm sure that they reached out to Newsom and he said, I'll run in 4 years. I don't want to be second string to her. I just can see, I just wish that I should see that there would be somebody better than him. I mean, and now, I mean, and not to jump off topic, but I'm going to, did you see the Clinton with his comments on Lincoln Riley and the illegal immigrant yesterday that he made?
What the fuck did that idiot say?
He said that that they didn't that if the illegal immigrant had been vetted properly, that she would still be alive. And that's exactly what Trump has been saying all these months. And so he basically
Clinton said that?
Yeah.
Well, then
in the context that it was Trump's fault that it happened because he blocked the immigration bill.
That, you know,
which is bullshit.
Well, you know, this immigration bill, first off, let me back up on that. What in the motherfuck do we need another fucking bill and another law? We don't need any laws. All we need, that's just like with gun control. There's plenty of laws. We just need to enforce. The problem is illegally obtained weapons is the problem. We have plenty of laws to do the job that we need to do. They keep falling back on this bill, and I don't know if Trump killed it or not, but from what I understand, it was killed because, you know, all these bills they try to pass these bills. It wasn't about immigration. The bill was attached to a bunch of fucking money for Ukraine, from what I understand.
There was that, and it really would not, from what I've read as well. There was talk where that it would not actually provide more border security. It would provide more prosecutors, defense attorneys, and judges that would allow more immigrants in, but allow them in on temporary visas and then have them wait, and it would expedite their processing and their hearings. So that's what it would allow them to do. It would give them money to have judges, prosecutors, and defense attorneys.
You don't need that. And first off, you don't need more Border Patrol agents. You need to get them up to staff. The problem is their staffing. They have the budget for it. They just don't have the staffing. You know why? They don't have the staffing because they won't let them do their fucking job. Mm-hmm. If you would just let them do their fucking job, you don't need any more bills. You need the wall, and you need to let Border Patrol do their job. Bill Clinton needs to shut the fuck up. Nobody gives a fuck about what he says. It's just like when he said that. Remember when he said at the DNC that Trump was an embarrassment to the Oval Office or disrespected the Oval Office? I went off. I'm like, dude, Slick Willie, you got hot mouth in the fucking Oval Office. Right.
Where's the blue dress at?
You got your Jimmy Wax in the Oval Office, and you're going to talk about Trump disrespecting the Oval Office? Make it the fuck out of here.
Hold on. It was the office just off the Oval Office. It was just outside the Oval
Office. Technically. You know, it's just people trying to stay fucking relevant. That's all it is, and he's not. I mean, they're washed up, man.
Yeah,
they're washed up.
They definitely. I mean, I know I haven't been on here for a while, and you know, you talk about things, and
that's your fault. You're welcome anytime. You know that.
I know, and I appreciate that. Like I said, I've been busy working. I'm back to a 7 to 7 job just about now, 5 days a week.
You and fucking Tom, dude, getting jobs. What the fuck's wrong with you?
What's up with, I was nice and happy going to school in retirement, and working at Engraved, helping Tim and Tammy and Tanya out, and yeah, I know, and supposed to be helping them out a little bit more than I am, but I'm working too much. But I love the place that I'm at. I can tell you before, I have an amazing owner. She's wonderful. The people that I work with are incredible as well. So, I couldn't be happier. A little bit more, a little bit shorter hours, maybe a little bit extra pay if anybody at work's listening.
Yeah. Well, we hope they are. So, before we close out, tell us anything you got going on, anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shout out?
Well, if I can, first off, I'll save that till the end. But no, I'm getting ready to head down to Florida. One of the guys that I was in the Marine Corps with celebrating Matt is celebrating his 50th birthday.
Good for him.
We were going to have a big old celebration. Unfortunately, he lives just north of where the hurricane Milton just came through, and so he's been having to cancel the big old shindig. But we're still going to celebrate this weekend, and then we'll see where we go from there. But I'll be down there for a few days. I'm sure that if they need some help or any of their friends or family need any help, I'll pitch in where I can and see anything out there. But yeah, that's what I got coming up. After that, getting ready for the holidays. Marine Corps birthday as well, November the 10th.
That comes up. That's in what, November?
November the 10th. Yeah. This will be the first year in a few years that I haven't gone to Quantico and the Marine Corps Museum to celebrate all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Beautiful museum if you ever get a chance to go to.
I've been, yeah. I went. It was. I went when I was
at National Academy.
Yeah, I went when my wife was. I went a couple times because we used to go and cook for Louisiana night at the National Academy. I mean, I think they still do, but I went probably a half a dozen times.
Oh, nice.
And every time we would go, we would probably bring new people with us.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps Museum, which is right off of the base, Marine Corps Museum was a must. Whether we had a lot of deputies, obviously, that were Marines, and if they went, we would bring them. But Marine Corps Museum is a must for any human being.
Yeah, it's incredible. No matter what branch you were in. I mean, just the history of military throughout that is just
there's just not a nicer museum.
No,
it's first class. I don't know who was responsible for it, or
the Marines.
Yeah, well, but I tell you, it was well funded and it was put together fucking right.
Yes.
So.
But yes, it's amazing. But then my last thing real quick, actually, I'm going to do two things. My daughter is doing amazing at the University of Kentucky in Lexington. And
good for her, man.
She's had a rough week or so, but I'd like to cheers to her.
Cheers to her. Hang in there.
Hey, she's going to get through it, and it's just a moment in time.
You're right. It's life, man. It's just, I have to, and I don't preach that. I live it because I have to tell myself that once a day. Hey, man, it's fucking life. Just, you got to deal with it. And
it is
good for you. Is that your youngest? Is that your oldest?
That's my only. That's my
only. Oh, okay. Wow.
My only. Yeah. So, and
I
then
just graduated from LSU this past May.
Oh, nice.
Doing amazing. Landed a top-notch job at a top-notch firm. Doing really well, and my son works with me.
Yep.
And that's been the benefit of. And I'm telling you, we've been working together. Shit, we could barely live together without fist fighting. And I'll tell you, I think he would probably say the same thing. I've never worked with anybody better. It's been really, really great.
Well, you've met my dad, and
love your dad.
I love him too, and my best friend. And growing up, there were a few fist fights here and there, probably, definitely, and here and there. But you grow up, you grow out of it, and love him to death.
You got one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing. Pete Rose, we talked about him a minute ago before we started.
Man,
that was my childhood right there, watching him, and I'm sure many other people.
And y'all are from Cincinnati. Johnny Bench and Pete Rose were idols to me as a kid. And I'm a little older than y'all, you and Jason, but I can imagine y'all being Cincinnati, how that had to kill the town, man.
So he went to Western Hills High School. My parents brought me home to a house less than a mile away from Western Hills High School. And the stories that you would hear in the neighborhood, and riding your bicycle up to the swim club past the field that he played on, and the stories that you would hear of him, and then Ken Griffey Jr. and Don Zimmer and Tommy Helms, and the list goes on and on. But every time I go past Boldface Park down in down along River Road and Delhi Road, I always tell my daughter that's where Pete Rose learned to play baseball. He's a river rat right here.
So he's from Cincinnati.
He's from
area.
the west side of Cincinnati, right where I
Did he
grew up.
stay living there? Was he living there till his death?
No, he
pretty
moved out to Las Vegas many years
Oh,
ago.
did he? Okay.
If I
Well, that
remember
makes
right,
sense.
his son,
That makes sense.
yeah, his son Pete Jr., if I remember correctly, is still living in the area.
I got you.
But actually, I met Pete back in 2004, 2005, I think it was, out at Caesars when he was doing the signing of the autographs. Had a nice little chuckle talking about Cincinnati. My father actually met Pete, his one of my dad's partners in the west side of Cincinnati years ago was Pete's first wife's brother. So it was his brother-in-law, and he was a Cincinnati police officer. And yeah, good story that we told about it and talked about. And so I just wanted to cheers Pete and 4192,
Yep.
1972 career wins, the most all time. Just everything off the field is off the field, but on those in between those lines,
People's done worse, dude. People's
he was
done
amazing.
worse.
Yeah.
So what's your prediction? What's your prediction? Does he get in and win?
I say he gets in 2029 or 2030. I'll say 2030. I think it's a nice even number. If I'm a betting man like Pete, 2030.
Okay. That's fair. I think he definitely gets in, but they won't do it immediately because they're too fucking prideful and too arrogant. And I think that was always the plan, was to not let him see it.
Right. I think Pete Jr. will have a hell of a speech when he goes in. And at the end, he's going to tell them to go fuck themselves.
Fuck themselves, yeah. The speech would be real short. Hey, fuck you.
This is from my dad. Fuck off.
Well, Rich, I so much appreciate you coming on. Always good to have you. You're always welcome here, and we'll cover. I'm sure with the next couple of weeks, especially with this election, there's going to be something. But hey, I'm gonna dig more into this Tampon Timmy stuff with this kid.
Yeah,
and, we may have you back on talking about that.
That sounds good. And maybe next Tuesday I can give you a quick update from down in the Tampa area.
Yeah, please do. Please do. So until then, McGee and Krummen are out.